Okay, so I usually start these sessions by asking how many of my typing sessions have you seen before?
Oh, I've seen like 20 minutes of one. It was did C.S. Lewis type this girl as an ENTP correctly?
Okay.
And you were like grilling her. Yeah, so I've only seen one. I didn't even see the whole thing. No.
Cool. All right. And how long have you known about typology cognitive functions?
Known about them like 8 months. Like I knew what Myers-Briggs was, but I never really looked into cognitive functions. And I have a rough thing. It's not super in depth, but I know there's like.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me start with asking you my normal starting point, which is, can you articulate for me what time? First of all, can you tell me what time of day it is wherever you are?
It should be dusk. It's not. I mean, it's evening. Most people would consider it evening.
Did you get up in the morning today?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, I had to go to work.
Okay. So can you articulate for me from when you got up until now a sequence of insignificant details of things you did?
Okay. I mean, what time did I wake up? I woke up at 6:30, and then I just kind of lied there. I was just kind of drifting in and out of consciousness for 2 hours. Usually I'd get up at 7, but my first meeting wasn't until 10 today, and it was remote. So I decided to sleep in, and I got up, went to my stand-up meeting, and spent an hour on the phone with someone, helping them, just sharing
What makes it a stand-up meeting as opposed to?
What's the stand-up? It's usually using like software development, or I mean, everybody just does stand-up. It's just a meeting. It's a regular meeting, and it's supposed to be quick. Like, I did this yesterday. I'm gonna do this. I'm blocked on this. It's people usually use it for making software, but I mean, you can have a stand-up of any group of people, really. Like,
okay. And where somebody says we need to have a sit-down meeting, then you're talking about personnel shit, like you're getting hired, fired, or what?
Not yet. No, they're not firing me yet. No, it was I just got a new job because I'm in an engineering program.
And so I'm saying if you have a sit-down.
Oh, if I have a sit-down. Like,
what's the difference between a stand? What makes something segue from a stand-up meeting to a sit-down meeting?
Well, in theory, everyone's supposed to be standing up because you don't want to waste anybody's time. So if you're standing up, then there's pressure to be like, okay, we got to get a status update, and then you move on. Like, you're working with that guy. The name comes from, like, in practice, people are supposed to stand up, but now, you're online, or sometimes it's, people are sitting because standing up is hard.
So stand-up meeting is used to express specifically a quick purposed meeting to resolve a couple of quick issues that need to be discussed quickly. Whereas sit-down is more of a serious strategy kind of meeting, or what?
It's supposed to be a process. It's part of this thing called Agile. So in the 80s, some dude invented Agile Manifesto. He was like, okay, efficient teams. They're small and they're organized into efficient self-working groups. And his idea was, if you have this regular meeting, everybody goes in a circle. It's self-regulating. Everybody just says what they're doing and what they need help on, and then people can just help you just go. It's literally just it's a process.
So he doesn't believe in sit-down meetings at all.
Yeah, but I mean, companies, it depends on. There's a lot of bureaucracy, so I don't know who this guy is. He wrote the Agile Manifesto. Some dude.
Okay, and your company ascribes to it.
Most Fortune 500 companies do, yeah.
Okay. So after your meeting, what happened?
I was texting this girl. Stealing. What?
Did you say sup?
Texting. I was texting this
I know.
girl.
Did you text her Sup.
Sup. Oh, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes she'll send like one word, and I'm like, how do I even respond to that? So I'll just be like, what? Or sup? Or okay. Just like mirror her, because I don't know. That's like my strategy with most people. Just
So
like,
did she text you something confusing this time?
did I say anything confusing?
Did she text you something confusing this time?
No, she's pretty honest. She's pretty direct. I mean, sometimes it's confusing. She's usually pretty direct, which I like.
Okay.
I asked her if she wanted to hang out, and she said maybe. I'm not, which is like, yeah, that's non-committal answer. I don't care. I think.
That was a straight up, hey girl.
Oh, what's up, girl?
All right, cool. So what happened after that? Did you eat lunch at some point?
I take a lot of caffeine, so I haven't really been feeling hungry. I smoked weed.
Okay.
But did I eat? No, I didn't.
Did your afternoon work stuff go by faster, go by slower, or no change because you smoked weed?
Did it go by faster? I think it elongates my perception of time. But that's probably just because I'm not focused.
Okay.
So I would say longer. Yeah, it made it longer.
So did you regret smoking it because it made work take longer?
No, it made it. I'm not really an anxious person, so it kind of pushes me to feel a little bit more anxiety to like do stuff.
Okay, so it actually motivated you to start working.
A little bit, yeah, but obviously, thoughts, bounce everywhere, get like stuck in tangents. So,
Right. It's not so much that it motivates you to start working as it lets you fall into doing something.
Yeah, like a flow state or something.
Right. Okay.
Something
Gotcha.
like that.
All right. How long have you been doing this job that you do?
I started on Monday.
You started on Monday?
Yeah, but I've been at this company for like a year. But this is my third job here.
Is it dramatically different than the one you were doing before?
Oh yeah. Before I was just staying at home and writing code. Now I write code, but sometimes I go in to collect data and check sensors and stuff for like automated driving, like self-driving cars.
Okay. So did you go to school and get some degree to get this job, or did you just get this job based on your skills?
I mean, I went to university. It's a new college hire program, so I wouldn't have been able to do it if I wasn't in college, but they do hire people not in college.
Okay. And when you went to college to learn how to do this stuff that you do at your job, the computer sciencey stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you already know before you went to college how to do a lot of the stuff, or did you have to learn it mostly from scratch in college?
I mean, I'm always learning. I thought I was going to do physics, but I'm not good enough at math. So, but I took like 3 or 4 computer science classes in high school, and freshman year, I was like, I'm not going to work with nanomaterials. I'm not going to be a doctor or a lawyer. I might as well, I like solving problems, right? So there's a lot of money.
Okay, so could you describe for me the kind of problem your work presents you with to solve?
A lot of automating things. That's what a lot of the world is moving towards, like automating. Something's in a spreadsheet and it needs to go here, or then it's like a data pipeline, or a lot of talking to people because I have to work. I mean, just like constantly ingesting new information.
So when you say automating, are you meaning like you're trying to delegate to code the process of more and more the process of organizing and presenting to people data back to them.
Exactly. Yeah. So like a lot of people just want reports. That's a lot of bureaucracy. It's like we want green, yellow, red, or we want a number. And then some people just want a fuck ton of data so that they can train their algorithms to do better work. So like I'm, wherever I need to set something up, like I'm making a website. I can't go too much into it, but it's just like taking a lot of like manual button pressing and
yeah. I know what I wish for. I wish for YouTube to have something like that where I just upload the videos and it automatically figures out what my video is, titles it best as it can, does all that stuff for me,
I mean, you gotta learn some PR, some digital SEO.
Oh, no, I don't want to do it myself. That's the point. I want there to be delegated to some code, the job of knowing that stuff for me, and the job of doing it for me.
It might be cheaper just to pay your kids to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it probably right now would be a lot more sensible to get a individual person to go do your archiving tasks for you if you want them done well and right. But eventually, you got to figure out. You got to think that they're going to figure out how to automate that stuff too. Eventually, they'll even automate the making of the videos so that you extract the person from it entirely.
That's definitely becoming a reality.
Okay, so do you like your job?
Yeah, I like my job. I used to not like my job, but there's only really 2 meetings a week, real meetings a week, and I get a lot of autonomy to do what I want. So,
and tell me about your relationship with self-discipline.
I'm very self-aware about my lack of self-discipline, but somehow I've made it to this point.
Okay. Do you get in trouble?
Yes. Quite often, yeah. Quite often.
Explain to me, walk me through your emotional state from you're about to get in trouble. You get informed by somebody, you're in trouble, when you get scolded, and then afterwards. How does your feeling go?
So when I get informed like, oh, you submitted a form late, or you forgot to do something, I'm usually like, oh shit. Oh well, I fucked up. But I don't react as hard as I used to. I used to beat myself up and be like, oh shit. Damn. But now I just kind of just meditate a little bit. I don't know, journal.
So it sounds like you prefer the non-dealing with people parts of your job. Is that true in your regular life too?
No, I love the people parts of my job. Like I'll offer to help people.
I misunderstood. Because you said there was only 2 meetings that made me think, oh, you don't want the parts where you talk to people.
Bro, I love talking to people. I hate meetings where I'm not supposed to be there, or there's 0 reason for me to be there. Right? That's such a waste of time.
Oh, I see. So
like ritual meetings or like
it's specifically the meeting, not the meeting with people that you don't like.
It's the lack of utility of the meeting.
Okay. So you think it doesn't really serve any purpose except to just fill that time slot or something?
Yeah, half the jobs in like a lot of the managerial jobs are literally just sitting in meetings all day, just like that's not. I mean, I like talking to people. I don't like fluff.
Right. Okay. So when you're talking about talking with people, you're talking about talking with your coworkers and collaborating with them on solving the problem, or you're talking about talking with customers?
Both.
Which do you prefer?
I mean, I prefer talking to strangers because I can fuck with them more and it's less obvious. But I like talking to my coworkers. I don't know them very well right now, but
Okay. So let's say you're on the phone with somebody, not from work, not about work stuff, but from in your own personal life, maybe trying to get Hulu to fix your unactivatable no ads add-on that you just paid for, like I was having to do the other day, or something like that. What, like, under what conditions are you going to be nice? Under what conditions are you going to be sassy, or something else?
Well, I like being sassy, but I wouldn't. I mean, it depends on the person, right? Like, if they're willing to, if they're playing along, sure. But if it's customer service, I'm calling in.
So
I mean, I try to be
too
respectful
polite.
of their time, right? So I'd be respectful, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I have no problems.
What sort of people do you find yourself getting into conflicts with, or sassy with?
I like getting into fake conflicts with my roommate. He's like very honest, but he's also very opinionated. But we agree to disagree a lot of the time, so it's fun. There are some people I'm sassy with, but just because it's like you don't even know, right? Like you don't, like we're just not on the same wavelength. So it's like being sassy, but they don't even know I'm being sassy.
Can you recall an instance where you met with somebody in the world and thought, this guy's too big for his britches?
Oh yeah, all the fucking time. Yeah.
Can you articulate a specific example?
Articulate a specific example. I mean, one time I got into a fight with someone in school, and he was just a dick. Like he threw my book on the ground. I was like, "Fuck you, man! Like, fuck off!" And we threw hands at each other. Oh, you know what? One time I was in Sunday school, and the nun was trying to be like, "Oh, so this is how we get to heaven." I wasn't really paying attention, but I asked her, like, "How do you get to hell? Is it like, or how do you get to heaven? Right? Is it through good works, or is it through belief?" And it was at a Catholic church, and I was like, "What the?" She just gave me like a non-answer, or she threw the dog. I don't even remember but I flipped her off, and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with these people? Like, they have no consistency. They have zero consistency." Like,
the answer is definitely faith, right? Isn't that what they say?
I think it's a combination of both for Catholics. I think it's a combination of both. But faith is definitely a prerequisite, right? Like you need that.
I mean, I thought I remember Christians saying things like, by faith, not by works, shall you be saved, or something like that.
It depends on the denomination.
Oh, does it? Okay.
From all the Christians I've met, I don't know.
$100 Catholics, they fine. $5 Catholics. Oh, different kind of denomination. Okay, so can you tell me if you have any creative outlets, things you like to do to make, either sing, dance, write, act, sculpt, paint?
Yeah. I used to play a lot of instruments. Now I don't make music as much anymore. Made this like 2 months ago. It says alcoholism. It's a painting. But
I like that painting.
yeah, I thought it was funny.
When you made music, talk to me about your process.
Talk to me about my process. Who the fuck? Someone's calling me. Oh, it's I don't know this number. Well, I mean, in music you have, at least in Western music, you have 12 notes, so it's really hard to make original stuff. But I like imitating other people, so like find a song that I like and just try to just like take bits and pieces from it, or like
Make a that kind of song.
yeah, make a type song.
Make a that kind of song, right? I
Right.
got you. Okay, so uh, did you usually start with chords or some sort of guitar part, and then try to sort of sing on top of that, or did you usually start with a melody in mind, or something, a kind of chord structure decided
Oh,
on, or what?
yeah. So I know a lot of music theory. So pick a scale, major, minor, and then like when I made electronic music, try to make a chord progression. But sometimes start with the rhythm, like choose a BPM, fill out a drum pattern. When I played in a band, we mainly did covers and improvisation though. But
Okay, what instrument did you play in a band?
I played set, played keyboard. I can't play strings instruments. I mean, I can
Okay,
strum some chords, but I can't play.
gotcha. And so,
Rhythm.
were you responsible for like drum and bass when you played keyboard, or was that separate?
Was I responsible for the drum and bass when I played keyboard? What do you mean?
Like, were the beats coming from the keys, or were the beats coming from a drummer?
When I was playing in a band, it came from the drummer.
Okay.
But if I'm like making music on my computer, like in a digital environment, I do both.
Okay. When you make beats in a digital environment, do you use a separate like sequencer for the beats, or do you use a combo program that has a lot of different stuff like that?
Yeah, like a synthesizer, like a keyboard you can draw in, or I had a MIDI keyboard, could hook up to my computer and play it.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes I'd use samples, but I'm not very good at sampling other rhythms.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't. You don't really use samples very much anymore like that. More just sample a single drum hit or something like that. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people still do sample other
No,
tracks, but
people definitely still sample like drum hits and noises.
right. Yeah, that.
Yeah, but
Okay, cool. So, do you miss music, or did you feel as though you'd hit an artistic point where you wanted to let that field lay fallow anyway?
I think it's less I miss music, more I miss making something rather than consuming content all the time.
Right. Right.
I mean, I still listen to music, but I'm mainly
Yeah.
just working and hanging out with friends. I'm not in school anymore, so
Right. Okay, cool. All right, let me ask you some kind of verbal reasoning kind of questions.
yeah, go for it.
If some potatoes grow in Ireland and some things that grow in Ireland are named O'Bannon, is it necessarily the case that some potatoes are named O'Bannon?
No, those are
Okay.
not necessarily. I mean, there's no necessary overlap between those two sets. No.
Yes, that's the correct explanation too. Good. Can you tell me if only polar bears live in Greenland, and if I live in Greenland, am I necessarily a polar bear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
If the first statement is true, yeah.
now I'm going to tell you a quick true story about a chicken in England. And then I'm going to ask you a question about it. Okay.
Okay.
So there was this hen among a flock of hens in England on a farm, and something happened to her uterus. She got an injury to one of her lady inside parts, and she transformed into a rooster. She began growing hair or feathers like a rooster. She cock-a-doodle-dooed in the morning. She even would go out and like stand up and caught the hawks to protect the hens. She even had her favorite hens and gave them worms like a rooster does. Was this a chicken or a rooster?
Neither. Man, I got distracted. Wait, I missed something there.
This is not a. It's not a logic question.
Oh, it's not a logic question.
No.
Then I'd say she's a hen. Okay, then I was overthinking that. Okay. I don't know. What is the answer?
I mean, it's the reason I'm asking it is to see if you give me an answer or critique the question, like.
It doesn't
or,
really make sense. The question doesn't. I don't understand where you. I mean, why are you asking if she's a hen or a rooster?
well, because I mean, the reason I'm asking is because I want to see what you do with that question as presented. Whether you whether you default to taking a position on it, whether you default to critiquing the question, or whether you default to something else. What's happening right here? I'm not exactly. This doesn't really fall into either of the categories I was anticipating your thing would fall into here. So what's wrong with the question, or critique it?
You just gave me a bunch of human behaviors, and then you asked me if she was a hen or a rooster. So
Well,
it
I know I
seemed
told
like
you the chicken, after she had a physical injury to her uterus, began growing feathers. Her physicality changed. Her feathers grew into rooster-like feathers, and her behavior changed into that of a rooster from that of a hen.
Oh, I see. This is like analogous to like biological sex or I mean, is
Right.
yeah, okay. So do you need the characteristics of a rooster to necessarily be a rooster, or is it you need to have the male reproductive organ of a rooster to be a rooster?
So in other words, it depends on which criterion of those two that you choose to apply.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it depends on which framework or
Okay. Gotcha.
so
Did you ever do any like competition debate in high school?
no, my roommate did.
Huh.
That's why that's one reason why I like him. But no, I did debate a lot of people, but it wasn't. I wasn't on the debate team.
Okay, cool. Do you have any long-term vision for your life in 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year?
I say I do, but it's I don't really think that far ahead. I like do actions, but like I say, I want a committed relationship. And a couple months ago I said I wanted children, but now it's like the girl I'm talking to, she doesn't really want children. I think I'd be okay with that, honestly. So I just know I want to have a 401k. That's it.
Okay. So how do you feel emotionally right now?
I don't really feel much of anything emotionally right now.
Okay. How do you feel physically?
Stimulated.
What do you mean? How does that manifest as a physical sensation? Is it like clenched jaw? Is it like
Yeah, clenched jaw, fidgeting. You know, I don't like. It's very hard for me to, just be
you're
here.
you're not regularly accused of sitting too still?
No, but I do sit still. I hate sitting still, but I do that. Like, sometimes you just get paralyzed.
Okay. Um, when you're working on something, do you have water and food nearby you to snack on and drink, or is that something you do between periods of work?
Yeah, I'll always have a drink. I'll always have a drink. Snack, no. I just kind of eat when I feel like it. I don't really plan out my meals or try to eat I'll eat while I'm doing stuff, but not usually while I'm trying to do work.
Do you get a lot of takeout or order delivery, or do you cook frozen stuff, or do you cook actual cooking?
Now I cook more actual cooking. I'll get a lot of takeout when I'm feeling, not as alive, or
Okay.
frozen foods when I'm feeling really tired. But
Okay. How many hours of sleep do you think you need a night?
I think I need 7. But
Do you get that?
no.
Do you ever take naps to catch up?
Yeah, sometimes, but usually after the sleep debt has built up. Like I used to pull all nighters, and then on Friday just sleep for like 16 hours.
Mhm.
It's
Okay. So, do you think you trust more your own experience or your instincts?
definitely. I like data, but that's not necessarily my own experience. Could be someone wrote a paper. That's not necessarily my own experience, right?
Okay. Have you ever heard me? Probably you haven't. You only sounds like watched one typing session, but have you ever encountered the potato touch story?
I have not. I mean, I've seen quite a few of your videos, but I've never heard of that. No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell a quick anecdote. I'm going to ask you to relate an equivalent anecdote from your life. So one time, well, I used to go to this restaurant and I'd sit at the counter and I'd usually get breakfast food there. It was open 24 hours. Didn't matter what time you went, you could get breakfast.
Yeah.
But if somebody ordered a meal or dinner meal, it came with a baked potato. And since I was sitting at the counter, I could see that when the meals came out, the waiters would push the ends of the potato with their fingers to make it open up and then scoop the butter in. So I said to myself, if I ever get a meal, I'm going to keep an eagle eye out to see how much they touch my potato. And, probably what would end up happening, I cut those ends off where they touched it. If they touched it too much, I'd say, you touched my potato too much. But anyway, so sure enough, sometime I went in there and I did get a meal. And I remembered, hey, I better keep an eagle eye out for my potato. And I watched and watched the whole time. And then somehow, before I knew it, I missed them because the guy bringing my plate here, and it was because I ordered rice pilaf. Baked
So
potato is a choice for the meal, but I didn't choose it. But I remembered my rule from before. Next time I'm going to go in there and do meow. And I trusted my experience in that instance over my instincts in the moment.
So you set your intention to get a potato, but you got distracted.
Well, I remembered my intention to make sure that if I got a potato, it didn't, like, I knew how much it had been touched when I received it. And I remembered my general rule that if you order a meal, you get a baked potato. But I ignored or forgot the fact that choosing rice pilaf invalidates those previous things.
Right. Okay. Okay. So okay. Well, I mean, this happened. Okay. So you're asking me to relate a story where I had my ideas set on something, but somewhere along the process forgot that one decision invalidated the other branch.
Yeah, basically that you went in with a clear plan and failed to notice that intervening happenings rendered your plan.
Yeah, that happens like every day. That happened this morning. I was planning on doing. Do you know what a Pomodoro is?
No.
It's like a unit of work. It's like you set a timer for 25 minutes and then you work for 25 minutes and then you rest for 5 minutes. My intention for months has been to do like 7 Pomodoros a day. But I did I did 2 today, but I didn't track the second one, and I knew that I wanted to set this, but I don't know. I smoked some weed, and I spent some time on the internet, so I didn't get to my 7 Pomodoro goal.
Is the reason you structure it like that because you don't necessarily know how long a given task is going to take? So that's why it's worse to break it up into first I'll complete this task, then I'll complete that task.
Yeah, I think context switching tasks is very difficult, and it's more of I want to be able to do a set amount of work per day because I'm not great at estimating how long a task can take because I know I can usually do it. So I want to be consistent about actually just doing stuff rather than estimating how much stuff I'm doing.
Okay, cool. Can you tell me about so I'm going to start a story and then I want you to finish the story.
Okay.
There's a lady. She walks into a bowling alley. She's got a peacock on a leash. She goes to the counter. She says to the guy behind the counter, I'd like to rent a lane and a bowling shoes for me and bowling shoes for my peacock. And he says, we don't actually allow peacocks in here. She says, well, this is my service animal. And he says, well, we still don't have shoes for peacocks. And she says, let me speak to your manager. This is discrimination. So now you finish the story.
And then the service worker was like, well, if this isn't your disability animal, then we're going to have to ask you to leave. And he called her Karen. And she screamed. And then she left. Yeah, and then she left. That's it.
Okay.
No violence.
Can you tell me, I'm going to ask a genealogy question. Can you tell me who my father's only grandson's sister is?
Your sister.
Yeah, okay, good. Can you tell me about a time where you thought, why did they do this way? This is a stupid way of doing it.
Yeah, all the fucking time. At my company, they store everything in spreadsheets, but then somebody has to transfer the data, manually transfer it to another spreadsheet. And now my last team, we made a website to replace the spreadsheet, but we had an Indian contractor and it was terrible. The code sucked. And they gave us a lot of money to do something that seemingly put no value into the world. So,
Well, it had a spicy curry flavor.
A little spicy. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, can you? I'm gonna try a test called Inky Pinky questions. Have you ever heard this kind of question
No.
before?
No.
All right, I'll give you two examples first. The answer that you're going to try to provide is going to rhyme. So I'll give you a clue like hilltop waterspout. I'll tell you it's an inky pinky, which means there are two syllables in each word in the answer. And the answer would be mountain fountain. Another example, I might say the clue is roadway flesh. It's an ink pink. Ink pink means one syllable in each word in the answer. And the answer is street meat.
Both words necessarily have to rhyme.
And the answer, yeah.
Okay.
All right. This is a bunny addiction, and it's an inky pinky.
Rabbit habit.
Good. And this is a bush trimmer made out of a semi-precious metal. It's an inky pinky.
It's not a diamond clipper. It's not a copper clipper. Trimmer.
It's a copper chopper or copper lopper.
Copper chopper. Oh, it's close. Okay.
Now can we switch roles? Can you make up a question for me?
Okay. This is a fat piece of furniture. Ink pink. A fat piece of furniture that you rest on. Ink pink.
Okay. A pouch couch, a meat seat,
That's good, but no.
a fool stool. I don't know. What's the answer?
Bed.
A fed bed.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, cool. How have you changed since you were younger?
I'm more tame now. Used to be more aggressive. Explosive. Like I didn't, if I don't really, I'm usually pretty chill, but if I, got emotional, I'd be really angry or really sad, more mellowed out. More social. Like I understand social rules more now. Like what I should and shouldn't say or can and cannot say. So because I like people, but I try to talk less.
Okay.
Try to talk less.
All right. So, what do you think is a more important value for you to uphold in the world? Social grace or reliability?
Reliability.
Okay. How about authenticity or social grace?
Authenticity.
Okay. What about fairness or kindness?
Kindness.
Okay. Do you expect others in the world to uphold for you kindness more or fairness more?
Right. I expect others to uphold kindness or fairness more.
In other words, the first question is, do you think it's more important for you to be kind or fair to other people? The second question is, do you think it's more important for other people to be kind or fair to you?
I think it's more important for other people to be fair to me rather than kind to me. I'd rather people not spare my feelings.
Okay. Do you think your feelings are more informative about what you should do and what's important to you, or more informative about where you should draw your boundaries and what you don't like?
More, you said more important?
More informative.
More informative than my boundaries.
The first instance, it's informing you about what you want, what's important to you, helping you to avoid, helping you to make wise choices. In the second instance, it's helping you to know where you need to say, okay, that's enough. Here's my boundary. And, or telling you, now I definitely don't like this. This isn't cool.
Sorry, I didn't know that that was two choices. I'm still a little confused. So you're saying,
in the first instance, it helps you to know what you want. Like, for example, I know that I want to change within the next year to this new job at work because I'm confident I'll like that a lot better. Versus, well, I know I would find this or this unacceptable, and I draw my lines in the sand there.
oh, okay. Drawing boundaries based off of what you want versus what you dislike, or your direction in life.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I would choose based off of more what I want. Like, say I was going to get into a relationship, it's because I want someone to talk to versus I'm lonely. I don't want to be, I don't want to die alone.
Okay. Interesting answer.
That's a what answer?
It's an interesting answer.
Hmm.
So when somebody does cross a boundary of yours, what might that look like?
What would that look like? I guess I could tell the story. I mean, one boundary that's been broken before is just like in high school. I had an ex-girlfriend, and we broke up, and she wouldn't give me my sweater back, but she wanted me to give her a painting she'd painted me. And I was like, okay, fine, you can keep the hood, but like, I'm not gonna give this back. It's just like, I need you to just stay the fuck out of my life. But at least, you know, if we're gonna talk and you want something, at least be, you know, consistent about it. Like,
Right.
when people are, it's not really a boundary. It's more of I just get pissed when people are like
Arbitrary.
Yeah, they're arbitrary, and it's like, yeah, I like, we can mess around, or we can play fight, or we can, but if you're just simply act like your actions make zero sense, then I understand now more, you know, people act, there's not necessarily a reason why they do something a certain way.
Right. Okay. So can you tell me what the truth is for?
What the truth is for. So what is the truth?
I mean, you tell me.
Well, I know a couple things that are true.
Bitches be tripping.
Bitches be tripping, yeah. They do. That's not necessarily true, but it depends on it. I mean, you think there's objective reality. Some people are like relativists, right? So they think the truth depends on context, right? So
Are you not a relativist?
No, I have a framework.
Okay. Do you think that the issue basically is too many words about nothing when people parse down into, I guess, endlessly negating the certainty of things?
Do I think when people parse down into you just said a lot of things. I'm just trying to process that.
Well, one thing that relativists tend to do is dispute the clear, definitive certainty or determinedness of any given statement. And
That's true. Like there is I think the world's probabilistic, right? So there is uncertainty with most statements. That's not
okay,
right.
well, I mean, you didn't seem to have any uncertainty about the statements. If some polar bears live in Greenland and some things that live in Greenland are named Steve, is it necessarily the case that some polar bears are named Steve?
Right. I mean, but we were using like logical axioms there, right? If they don't agree on the axioms, then you can't really argue anything.
Okay. So, in other words, conditional statements can be absolutely true, but unconditional statements have a different kind of relationship with truth.
They're harder to argue.
Okay. That's very correct. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you what type I think you are. But,
Okay.
and then I have a feeling that we'll do some follow up testing in one particular area or two. I think you're an ESTP who probably thinks he's an ENTP.
You think I'm an ESTP? That thinks I'm an ENTP. Okay. Interesting. Why do you think that? I think it's an S versus N.
I think it's a. I mean, your NE doesn't test dominant, but I didn't test it much. Your relationship with language and argumentation seems much more business-like. Matter of fact, you remind me more of my daughter than of myself. Like, for example, yesterday, I'm going through this stuff with my mom in this hospital thing and whatever. So Arcadia Methodist Hospital called me and said to me, Kaiser wants your mom in their system since you have Kaiser insurance. And I said, okay. And they said, unfortunately, we can only find one place that has a bed, one Kaiser hospital that has a bed. It's in Panorama City. I said, well, that's fine. It's not that super far away. Send her there. It's fine. It happens to be the hospital I was born in.
Mm-hmm.
So then Kaiser calls me from Panorama City, and they're basically complaining to me that I gave them the go-ahead to send my mom to Panorama City because all they're going to do is discharge her back to San Marino. Of course, Arcadia didn't tell me that they were just sending her to Panorama City to have her discharged from there to Arcadia again, to go all the way out around there just like that when they could just discharge her directly. But because Arcadia Methodist had gotten to me first in the argument, didn't share with me all the relevant information or what was actually going on, misled me basically. If they had been honest, they would have just said, we want to make Kaiser pay for this, rather than having to pay for part of it ourselves because Medicare is paying for part of it the way this currently is set up here. So they didn't tell me that up front. I didn't really think about that stuff until Kaiser called me. The point is, I told the Kaiser guy, well, okay, I get it now what happened, but I'm not going to call Arcadia Methodist back and say, no, I don't want to do this. Now I finally solved this problem. I was spending all this time trying to get her put somewhere because all I've been talking to is people telling me, let's talk about where we're moving your mom. Anyway, so when I talked to the Panorama City guy, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. My daughter, however, said, but she's in Arcadia Methodist. Why don't you just call them and tell them to discharge her to the nursing home. And I said, because I didn't really have an answer. So that's the difference in something. That's one example of a difference between an ESTP, my daughter, and an ENTP, me. I'm so caught up in the arguments and the process that sometimes I fail to direct my logic and intuition towards any practical reality.
Then I would say we're more alike than.
Okay, so this is what we need to test more. Then we need to test more your extroverted intuition, because it's the only really thing that we can test here. In that, the only difference between ESTPs and ENTPs are in their 1-4. ESTPs start with SE, have NI in the fourth, or NI front stack, and ENTPs are NE Dom, SI in the fourth. Now, I will tell you this. Until we got to the storytelling question and the Inky Pinkies, I thought you were an ENTP. I felt like, I think this guy's an ENTP. You move around in your chair like one and so forth. And there were a lot of other things. And I don't normally use this kind of stuff for typing, but the way that your eyes move, the way you explain things, those things seemed very ENTP-ish. So I am not at all eliminated this. However, there have been an additional thing that accused me maybe you're not ENTP, is that when I have a lot of words to give you before getting your response, you tune out pretty easy.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, but it's not definitive. So let's do some NE tests. So can you tell me? Let's do the story thing again, except this time you take on making up the beginning part of a story.
Okay, sure. Okay, so two guys walk into a bar. And one of them is Israeli, and one of them is Palestinian. And George Bush is the bartender. What does George Bush say to these two men?
He says, "You two foreigners, get the fuck out of my bar."
Right, that's what George Bush sounds like.
Okay.
And he's from Texas, I think.
Next, I would like to ask Rachel to chat with you a little bit.
Who's Rachel?
My wife and lady who helps. She periodically helps me just walk away and have her as a second set of eyes on somebody. And she usually will ask more like social interaction style questions, things like that. But she'll just kind of share her NI. She and I sometimes don't agree. We sometimes do. So I'll tell you what happens regardless. Here you go.
Hello there.
Hi, Rachel.
How's it going?
It's going great. Your husband just grilled me for an hour.
He what?
He grilled me.
He grilled you.
Yeah, I got roasted.
How do you feel about that?
This is interesting. I'm not flustered.
Okay, that's good. So now I'm going to ask you questions about different relationships. So
Okay.
what are some traits that you look for in a romantic partner?
Nowadays, more honesty. That's probably up there. Honesty. Some emotional capacity, not necessarily they have to be have to emote all the time, but like, think about other people. Be kind. These are all pretty generic, but yeah.
How about someone that's a coworker?
The coworker, consistency, someone that does work, because I don't, sometimes I don't do as much work as I should do, but willingness to learn. Actually, I'd like that in both romantic partner and coworker. Being
Willingness to learn.
Yeah, like change what they think and like adjust their behavior or adjust the way they view a problem or view themselves or other people.
Now, is it important to you to have a partnership, whether romantic or like a coworker, where they can have discussions like that?
Yeah, I would. Yes, would like to be able to have discussions like that, rather than have discussions get shut down or someone that's not aware that those like discussions should exist. So yeah, that would be nice.
What do you look for in a friendship?
In a friendship, consistency. I'm not the best friend. I care about my friends. I'm not constantly checking in on them, but not necessarily that my friends have to check on me, but consistency in their behavior. Humor is more important. I think I care less about humor for a romantic relationship or for
Now,
coworking.
now is it that do you like people who find you funny in particular, or just have a good sense of humor in general?
Have a good sense of humor in general. Like people who can take jokes or make a joke. Not necessarily I want my ego boosted or anything.
Do you consider yourself to be a funny person? Good sense of humor?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm pretty easygoing. I don't think my sense of humor is it's super effective on most people, but I think I can be funny.
That's good. That's a good trait to have, I think, in life.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Eric's ready now. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, the 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Very insightful.
Yeah. Well, I get some idea from what we talked about.
Yeah.
But yes. Okay. Talk to you then. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay. I have a couple more questions if it's okay that we're running over here a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're fine.
Okay. So do you think that it's more important that you be original in your communications with the various people you engage with, or that you have a variety of new experiences?
I think having new experiences, I'd prefer that. I'd rather do things than. I mean, I'll go back to the same one-liners, but
Okay. By having new experiences, that opens up new things to talk about.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I think you are an ESTP. I feel very, very confident about it. The another thing that occurred to me when I was outside that I'd mentioned as lining up is, so when I asked you to you make it the first part of the story, you set up a scenario and then ask me a question, which is very indicative of extroverted intuition in service or unconscious, and thereby being subsumed by TI operational value. Because TI is the thing that generally asks questions. If they're questions designed to, well, especially if they're questions designed to clarify what the other person's position is on something.
Okay.
So you
So
gave
there's
some,
TI person. Okay.
you gave some interesting answers as far as your values. They seem to line up consistently with the S's and the F's as absolute values. While showing FI blind spot as well. So you do value the F's, like how you're perceived, being liked, and also being authentic to yourself and what's important to you. But when asked how you want other people to treat you, you want them to treat you like your feelings don't matter. You want them to treat you fairly and be direct and objective and give you the harshest version of every truth so that you can self-correct and stuff. That's very equitable.
Right. That's what I'd want, but it's not usually what happens.
No, it's not. So that's my typing of you. Let me now ask Rachel to chime in here. I felt pretty confident after the last couple of things, but what do you think?
I thought ENTP.
You thought ENTP?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me why?
Yes, ESTP.
He just seemed like one.
Yeah,
He seemed like one to me at first too, but I don't think he's testing as one. So Rachel, obviously, I sort of have her talk with the person briefly. She can give me her NI. Her NI says the same thing that my NI said at first too. And I get why you would self-identify as one. But your relationship with language as a creative activity and part of your being is not that of an NE-DOM.
Not as creative.
Well, the other thing I would say is when you talk about your creative process, that thing of you think of a song that exists and go, I want to make that kind of song. That's an NI process, not an NE process. That's NI conscious. It's saying you're getting that everything's an archetype, that there's nothing new in the world. You're really just making an example of some kind of archetype. That's an NI frame of reference. And so but the thing is with 4-5, you and me both have almost equal access to both SI and NI kinds of knowing. So you can give me plenty of specific examples and you can tell me about your physical state of being. Although it was interesting when I asked you how you're feeling physically, you actually told me an emotional state of being.
Stimulated?
Yeah.
Is emotional?
Yeah, stimulated is an emotion, right? Do you think stimulated is an emotion? It's more than like, for example, when I asked the question, I was thinking to myself, my shoulders are currently tense. I did a bunch of mescaline yesterday. And, oh my God, nightmare. Have you ever considered doing mescaline? Consider not doing mescaline.
I have considered it. It's a long one. It's like 14 hours.
That's not the problem with it. The problem with it is it's super gacky. It's more like you've overdosed on ephedra / shitty speed.
I've heard it's stimulating visually and the body load. Well, the body load's low, but
it makes you a dick too. It makes you extra dickish.
Really? Why? Because you're just uninhibited?
No, because you're gacky. It's like, like when I was in line at McDonald's yesterday on it, I screamed at these people in front of us at the window. I'm like, are you trying to set the world record for retardation?
What the fuck? Wait, I've read people who've done mescaline. It seems way more chill than that. I usually don't hear about people getting angry. Or not necessarily angry, but
well, it's possible that that if you were able to extract the mescaline without the alkaloids from the cactus, you'd have a much different experience. I don't know that. But the way I consumed it, which was straight from the cactus, I just ate it raw.
Just ate a San Pedro raw.
No, it wasn't a San Pedro, actually. It turns out San Pedros they have a very low mescaline content.
Yeah, then they're huge.
Right. But there's another one called Trichus cineris that it's the same basic design of a San Pedro, but smaller and has much longer spines. And I found that one, a patch of it nearby, and I ate too much of it for sure. But it turns out that one has a higher mescaline content than peyote even.
No. Shit.
Yeah, so I kind of went overboard on this because I had just done 2 failed attempts to get mescaline out on San Pedro. So I was like, now this time I'm really gonna
Yeah, you gotta like boil it and chop it up and then filter it.
You don't have to do any of that shit with this other one. You just have to shave off the dark green flesh and eat it. That's it.
Mm.
And you don't have to eat that much. Just like one this piece worth size. And it's like this fat around rather than like chow.
Is it comparable to other psychedelics?
Well, it's comparable in length only to acid, but in terms of the trip, it feels like I called it yesterday the cokehead of psychedelic drugs. I didn't like it. Anyway, you might experience it differently. It's very clenched jaw, stiff shoulders, really tense, a lot of body tension, very speedy. Yeah. So that's what I'd say about that. Anyway, any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, queries, quandaries? No?
I think I'm good. I mean, maybe I am an ESCP. I don't know.
Okay. Are you comfortable with me publishing this?
Yeah, you can publish it. I don't care.
Okay. Well, you get other people's thoughts then as well.
Okay.
I'll publish it.
I'll
I'll publish it this evening, and people will be there in the live chat, speculating along.
Oh, you're gonna do a live video?
No, I'm not going to. I'll put it a premiere.
Oh, right.
And then that opens up the live chat so that people can watch the video and they can talk about it as it's going on. Like, well, that answer seems to me to be yeah. Like that. Okay. Thank you so much for your business and have a great evening.
You too. Thanks, Eric.
Bye.
Bye.